Your website is still this foundational element of your online presence. If you don't have an optimized website, if the user experience on there isn't good, if it loads very slowly, not organized well, if it looks kind of shoddy or it could use a little bit of help from an aesthetic standpoint, you're going to diminish some of the trust that users feel when they get onto that website.
Welcome to the Pet Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Skarlet Rockwood. As a content marketer for pet professionals, I love talking with other marketers and business owners in the pet industry and sharing their marketing advice with you. So join me for the latest episode and learn how to grow your audience, increase your revenue, and impact the lives of pets and their people. Matt Aldrich is the pet-loving, problem-solving, creative brain behind Pet Engine Marketing, a results-driven digital marketing agency dedicated to helping pet businesses achieve consistent and measurable growth. With a passion for solving problems and elevating brands in the pet industry, Matt brings a wealth of expertise from his experience working in and on independent pet retail and leading digital marketing campaigns. Matt is also a co-founder of the Pet Industry Network, a published Pets Plus magazine writer, and an active member of American Pet Professionals. His years of experience and deep understanding of the pet industry and marketing landscape position him as a trusted partner for pet businesses looking to thrive. Follow Matt and Pet Engine Marketing on social media at Pet Engine Marketing. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Skarlet.
So Matt and I are in Pet Industry Network together, and he is the person to talk to if you want to improve the SEO on your website. But a lot of you might be asking, you've been told that SEO is important, but what even is SEO?
SEO is the process of optimizing your presence online for search engines. So I know that might sound like a bunch of jargon or a bit of a mouthful, but really it comes down to helping your website or your business, whatever you have online, be more easily found on Google by people searching for your business or services. For example, if you run a grooming store, or pet retail shop, or a dog training business, people are using Google and other search engines to find businesses and services and products that you provide. So it's really just about using Google in the right way to help you show up for those searches and show up when those people are searching for your business, and then they can hopefully become customers.
So search engine optimization is what gets you on that front page, or ideally at the top of that front page. I think what was the math on it as far as the percentage of clicks that the first option gets versus all the other ones?
It does fluctuate, but I think it was somewhere 25 to 35%, right? Somewhere in that range.
Which is absolutely insane. Being not even on the first page is hugely detrimental to the value of search engines for your business.
Ideally, it's difficult to do in some cases. Sometimes it's not quite as difficult. It only takes a couple of small adjustments or optimizations to the website or the Google business profile or some other digital assets to make it happen. That is the goal, to be number one, to be first, to be on top of the hill.
So what does that entail in terms of, a lot of people understand the value of having that free Google business profile and how that helps their SEO and helps people find them. But what are the other moving pieces that will help improve that optimization?
Beyond the Google business profile, I'd say your biggest asset for search engine optimization is just your website as a whole. Your website is this content platform. You put pages on there, you put pictures on there, you put videos, right? You put all sorts of things on your website. And most of the time, anything that you put on your website is getting indexed by Google. When I say indexed, I mean it is added to Google's search engine library. They scan the content on that website or page and add it to their library so that it becomes searchable by users on their platform. So that's really the biggest thing is your website when it comes to your search engine presence. That and your Google business profile if you run a local business.
Are there any other moving pieces that are important, like is having active social media profiles? Does that help your SEO in any way? Or being on other people's websites, being linked out there? How big of a piece is that compared to your own?
Those are both important, I would say. Although the importance of social media has diminished a little over the last couple of years, it helps to have backlinks, being linked to other people's website. Or to give it a better example, like let's say you belong to a local dog group and they list businesses that support them and they support. If you get listed on that website and it links out to your business's website, that is a pretty valuable backlink, especially for a local business. If you have a pet brand or a product and your audience is national, then generally a backlink that is bigger is going to be better. Can you get a backlink for an article written for you by local news or national news? Maybe you get mentioned or profiled in a New York Times article. That would be top of the pile type stuff. For a local business, you don't have to aim quite as high. Those backlinks help you out quite a bit as well. So the website isn't the only thing. The Google Business Profile isn't the only thing. Search engine optimization is this process of optimizing your online presence so that it is more receptive to Google. When Google trusts it more, it's okay to send more traffic to it.
So that's really the value of backlinks. Am I understanding that right? The more people talk about you in a positive light on their websites, the more Google sees you as a trusted, valuable resource and therefore will rank you higher.
There are plenty of factors, but that is what it comes down to. Google has these kind of this rating system for every single website on its platform that it calls it domain authority and domain rating. And for really new websites that don't have any backlinks or any trust built up, their domain rating is generally 0 or 1. For businesses that have been around longer and generated more backlinks, they've got a bigger website, they've generated a little bit more trust, you can see that trust score go up. And so you see domain ratings that might be in the teens or 20s or 30s, 40s, 50s. It can be a challenge for some businesses to generate that trust and signal to Google like, hey, this is a legitimate website. We would love our customers to find us on Google.
So if I am starting from 0, what is the first thing that I should do? Where should I start to improve that?
The website, definitely. You got to optimize the website. When you just start a business, what's the first thing you start with? Is it the website or trying to drive sales? And there's so many different ways to drive sales. There's so many different ways to market your business and try and bring in new customers. The website is no doubt a foundational piece, but sometimes your customers aren't using Google in the way that maybe it would make your website super important. Maybe it's easier for you to build an audience on, say, TikTok and sell products through TikTok. And it makes your website like a secondary or tertiary piece of your business. While I might agree with that in some aspects, I definitely feel like your website is still this foundational element of your online presence. If you don't have an optimized website, the user experience on there isn't good, if it loads very slowly, not organized well, if it looks kind of shoddy or it could use a little bit of help from an aesthetic standpoint, you're going to diminish some of the trust that users feel when they get onto that website. So even if you build up this TikTok empire and you try and sell products there, they're going to have to purchase it usually from a website unless you open up a TikTok shop or something like that. And again, if they have a really cool experience watching your video on TikTok and they're like, wow, this looks like a really great product for me or for my pet, and then they get to the website and it doesn't load, or they don't know how to navigate it, or it looks like it was built by a high schooler, they'll probably fall off. You're not gonna get that sale after all the work that you put into that TikTok video. So that website is still such a key component of your online presence, no matter what you're trying to do.
I always talk about what I like to say is that the marketing ecosystem is whether you are prioritizing TikTok or Instagram or your website or blog, whatever your main piece of marketing you're using to reach out to, or if you're spreading it across a lot, everything really still has to work together in an ecosystem. Because if they find you on Google and then go try and look at your Instagram and you haven't posted in 2 years, then that's going to diminish their likelihood of buying from you and seeing you as a legitimate business. If you prioritize Instagram as your marketing channel and you have an Instagram shop, some people are going to buy from that shop without going anywhere else, but a lot of people will look at your Google reviews. They will look at your website. And if all of that isn't really up to par and showing the same branding and message that you are showing on that main channel, then it's going to diminish the likelihood of you getting that sale. So your whole customer journey has to really work together in that way.
Which makes it so challenging, right? It's like, how do you make sure that your presence online is how you want it to be influential and encouraging for leads to move through this customer journey at all of these different touch points on all of these different platforms or channels and with all of this different messaging for different types of people. So it's this mixture of art and science that makes what you and I do, Skarlet, so challenging and sometimes delicate and sometimes frustrating, but also super rewarding when it works out and you're like, wow, this process took 9 months, but here it goes. It worked,
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, no matter how you're going about your marketing, I feel like the website for most people really is that central hub. As much as I am so heavily focused on social media as one of the channels that I advocate, that is traffic that you borrow, and that audience could go away tomorrow, either because all of Instagram shuts down or because they ban your account and you can't get it back. You never know what's going to happen there. But your website, your email list, those are sources of traffic that you own that aren't going anywhere based on the whims of Meta or whatever other platform. So I think that it's really important to look at your online presence as like a hub or a spider web, and see your website as the middle of that. Everything else is a distribution channel to draw people back there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's why in recent years, I've become so much more bullish on email as a channel and a platform. It's an owned commodity. Once you've got that subscriber list, you're not stuck using a different platform to reach it. I can pay for any number of email marketing platforms, but I can take that list with me. That audience following on Instagram or on TikTok or on my Facebook page, I can get suspended, I can get shut down. Something can happen to those platforms and that'll be lost. And if that's a huge revenue driver, that's a big risk.
Absolutely. Those are the top of your funnel, your opening touch points to build trust, to show what your brand is like, to really pull them in and make them a loyal customer. They should be on your email list. They should be visiting your website.
Ideally, yeah. And it becomes a lot of work, right? It becomes a ton of different ways to communicate with customers and customers at different stages of their journey. The website is definitely important, even if you're using social media or a different platform to build an audience or communicate with your audience. In order to get them to sign up for an email list, chances are even that is going to be on your website, that little widget to sign up or subscribe. So your business needs a home online, and it's going to be your website.
Absolutely. If I am going about all this, let's say, like you said, this can be a lot. It can be a little bit daunting. If I'm going to start with just one page on my website, where should I start?
Google's going to give a lot more weight to your homepage rather than most other pages on the website. We work with some clients where their blog posts, resources, or articles are getting more traffic than their homepage, although that is pretty rare. I think one of the reasons those exterior pages are allowed by Google to get more traffic is that there's enough trust in the homepage. And some of those articles are a little bit more far reaching than the local business would for their local audience. But if you are going to start optimizing with just one single page on your website, 100% it has to be your homepage. That's for most businesses, about 60% of their website traffic are going to land on their homepage. So you got 6 out of 10 chance to make a really good first impression. Same thing with Google. On the search engine results page, most people are going to click to a homepage when they're discovering a business because they want to learn more about a 30,000 foot view of that business. If they know exactly what they're looking for, maybe they'll go directly to the contact page. But for a business that is totally new to me or to prospect, it seems unlikely that I would go directly to the contact page without doing a little bit more research. I want to know, what are their services like? Who are they? What are their values? What are some of their reviews or testimonials? And then I might start moving towards a conversion, whether that's a form fill or phone call or booking or a sale. For a totally new business, if I'm just discovering you, definitely optimize the homepage for new prospects first.
And I love that you touched on phone call as one of the ways that they might convert even from your website. People don't necessarily realize the value that their online presence is bringing them, because people don't always fill out that contact form, right? They don't always sign up on the website. They don't always DM you on social media. You don't necessarily know that a conversion came from your online presence when someone calls you, but a lot of times that person has checked you out online first.
Definitely. This is one of the funniest paradoxes of modern marketing that I like to think about on a regular basis. Everything is so digitized and there's so much tracking going on, right? Like you've got analytics on website, you've got cookies, you've got the ability to track how many people are viewing your profiles, and all of these digital breadcrumbs, fingerprints that we leave everywhere as we navigate through the website and social media. Things get very muddy from a tracking standpoint, and your customer journey might be like, okay, they search for a dog trainer near me. They go to your website. They review your services and testimonials. They look at your contact page. They see where you're located. They check out your phone number. They might write that phone number down or revisit that in a few days. And the attribution for that's like the reason digitally that conversion gets tracked would have nothing to do with like how they initially discovered you, whether from a social media post, Google SEO, or Google ad, or any other form of marketing. So the attribution is just, it can be extremely clear. And it's like, oh, awesome. That lead or that sale came from SEO. But in reality, it could have come from anywhere. And then SEO just kind of got like the last mile, they got the last bite of the apple. It's just interesting that even with all this tracking ability and all this clarity that we're supposed to have, you got to understand that some of the attribution and sourcing for some of your conversions is still going to be a little bit murky and not clear.
Yeah, there's going to be tons of people who Googled you, went to your website, checked you out on Instagram to get the vibe of what your business is like, and then decided to call you. And then when you ask them, where did you hear about me? They give you a third source. Like, yeah, a friend told me about it. We walked the website without the social. They never would have actually called you. So there's a lot of different things that go into the mix there. Even if they tell you where they found you, that is also unreliable tracking. Like I said, the marketing ecosystem is so important, and having all those pieces in place can bring in more sales, even if you don't realize that's where they're coming from.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question, Skarlet. When you sign up for certain things online, or when you buy things and you see those fields that are like, how did you hear about us? Do you try and give them the most accurate answer possible because you have a marketing background?
Usually the answer ends up being the most recent, because if I buy something online, 90% of the time it's from an email that I've been on their email list, and maybe I've been on their email list for years.
Yeah.
There's no way to remember where I originally got on that list. It could have been a social media post. A lot of times it's a Facebook ad. A lot of times my mom is the type to like forward me anything she thinks I might find helpful. I end up on the email list that way. So I might just say, oh, I got an email. So I came from the email list, but you don't know how I got on the email list or how long I've been here. Specifically, there is a type of treat that I like to get for my rabbit Houdini. I found out about that treat because of the person who owns the brand. The person who owns the brand, or at least someone who does a lot of work for the brand, is also an influencer. I follow that influencer, and that's how I found out about the treat. I remember exactly, and I will never forget that I know about the Nibble store because of Mr. Peary, which is the company that I follow. So sometimes people will remember the most memorable touch point, whether it was the first one or not.
Sure.
So that's also really important to remember as well, and why things like that in multiple different marketing channels are really valuable. Because I also probably SEO did a lot in helping me find that website. It was very difficult. So I bet SEO probably had a lot to play in me actually finally finding it, because it was not directly linked on his account or anything like that.
You see that too, especially with brands and products, right? You want to buy a specific brand or product, that brand frequently gets cannibalized on the Google search engine results page by other selling platforms, like whether it's Google Shopping, Amazon, Etsy, or Chewy in the pet world. Or sometimes that brand page is actually ranking beneath those other selling platforms. And that can be incredibly difficult for lesser known brands. They're not getting the kind of organic results, even though they're being searched for by name, which is just crazy.
Yeah, it's insane how difficult it's become to get not just the top ranking, but the first page at all, because at least the first third of page one is all ads at this point.
Super clean ads. Like the search engine results page has changed so much since and this is not surprising, right? It's changed incredibly since I first heard of Google, which was almost 30 years ago at this point. So that's not surprising, right? But the way it continues to change, where you get different types of shopping ads, and even local business, you can now do local service ads, which are higher than the map ranking. They're higher than the Google ads. They just continue to add more digital real estate that you can purchase on this search engine results page, because it drives a ton of traffic. People use the search engine to find things that they want or need. It's wild.
So what is Google really looking for on that homepage? What would it see as looking right to increase the rankings?
Good question. The answer is always changing, because Google's algorithm is always changing. But over the past several years, for quite some time, there's really been a few key factors that Google's looking for primarily on any web page, but we'll stick to the homepage right now. Some of the most important elements on your homepage are the content. Your main heading, that's like what we call your H1. Every single page should have one H1, so like one main heading. A main heading is normally like the biggest text on your page. So a lot of the website builder platforms, whether it's Wix or Weebly or Squarespace or WordPress, have built-in types of headings. You'll notice it says heading 1. You really only want one of those per page. It's a big mistake that I see with a lot of pet businesses. They want to break up their content, which is great to organize, but they do it with multiple H1 headings per page. And that's a no-no. That confuses Google. It doesn't indicate to Google what content is important on that page. So when Google scans that content, it gets confused and it thinks everything's important. If you can give Google direction with keywords in your H1 heading, that's really going to improve your rankings. Number 2, the title of your website, right? So like that's called the title tag. And if you can put some keywords in there that pertain to your business, or that's not only incredibly important for Google, but it's incredibly important for a user experience too, because that's truly the first impression a prospect would have on your business when they search for your services or your business online. So that's what's going to show up on the search engine results page. My title tag, and then here's the website. And then beneath that, you've got the description, which you can set as well to encourage people to visit the website. Maybe it tells more about your services, your products, or your unique value proposition, kind of what makes you different. So I would say using keywords in those title tags and your main heading on the homepage, those are probably going to be your 2 biggest, like easy changes. Beyond that, I would say just creating more content optimized for the keywords you want to rank for. Shouldn't be super difficult when your homepage is all about your business. It's really just about working in your keywords in a natural way. You don't want to make a mistake that we call keyword stuffing, which would basically be like, say you run a pet supply store, you've got your main heading that is in pet supplies in Tampa Bay, Florida, which is great. But then beneath that, you've just got pet supplies, pet supplies, pet supplies, pet supplies, pet supplies near me, pet supplies, Tampa Bay, pet supplies, pet supplies, pet supplies. That is keyword stuffing. Google doesn't like, users don't like that. It doesn't give them any value. So try to use a keyword such as pet supplies or pet supplies Tampa Bay in a natural way. An example might be like, you can find pet supplies in Tampa Bay at my pet shop, whatever your business is titled. Utilizing keywords in content on the homepage, title tag, main headings, and some of the written content. For a lot of pet businesses we work with, even making those 3 small, simple changes to your homepage is going to actually have pretty significant impact in your rankings locally.
How can I know which keywords are the ones that I should be trying to rank for?
That is the question, isn't it? For local businesses, it's normally not that challenging because you've got this local area that you want to show up for. You've got a brick and mortar business or a local service area and you provide a primary service or a primary product. Chances are that primary service or product, that's going to be your keyword, right? So this is what I would call root keyword, the starting point for all of your keywords. That might be pet supplies, dog trainer, cat behaviorist, mobile dog groomer, or dog self-wash. These are root terms. They're broad, not complicated. They would get a ton of results if you threw them into Google. So those are your root keywords. For local businesses, you can focus on those. You can narrow down your search by adding something localized, like Tampa Bay or your city. That's going to narrow down the search a little bit. And in this case, it's a good thing. And then you can also continue to narrow down the search if you want to attract a specific kind of customer. Let's say your main differentiator is that you're a premium brand or you have a luxury product and charge premium prices. You probably don't want to talk to prospects or care too much about prospects that come onto your website if they don't fit this ideal client of yours. Add an additional keyword to, say, your title tag or your main heading, your H1, and some of your content that would be like premium doggy daycare facility or premium pet boarding facility in Tampa Bay. That's a much more narrow and kind of honed in search term than just doggy daycare, right? And you actually do want to hone it down and narrow it down quite a bit if you can. Otherwise, it gets more competitive the less specific that you get, which means it's harder to rank. And you might not want to rank for some of those terms that might attract the wrong types of clients. That's part of finding keywords. If you wanted to go national, it gets more difficult because you don't have those local identifiers, you open up your website and your audience to people from all over the world or all over the country, which means you're fighting against non-localized businesses. Your competitors are going after the same audience, and it does get significantly more competitive. If you search for a term on Google like dog treats, you're going to get literally billions of results. It is so difficult to climb that pile. You might get into the top hundreds or maybe the top 50s or 30s if you put effort behind SEO. But really trying to get to the top 20s, top teens, or top 10, that is incredibly challenging to do. And it's dominated by businesses like Amazon and Etsy. Finding the right keywords for your national business is actually significantly more challenging and usually requires a service called keyword research, which we provide. We have specific tools that allow us to get access to a lot of data that can help identify some narrower keywords that might work for your business. To go along with like the dog treat example, you probably don't want to focus on dog treats as like your keyword, but maybe your treats are in particular, like they're very good for helping dogs that are suffering from arthritis. So maybe you want to go after a keyword like dog treats to help my dog with joint pain or to help my arthritic dog. That search volume and the number of results that you get from a term like that, way less competition, much narrower than if you just try and go for dog treats. It helps to narrow down your scope quite a bit when you're trying to identify those keywords.
And that also is going to get you more people who are looking specifically for your treat, right? Because the person who's looking for a milk bone style treat that you can get at Walmart isn't going to be your customer anyway.
It comes back to a lot of different things in the marketing customer journey, right? Understanding where your product fits, what it's good for, who your ideal client is, how they're using the internet to find the things that they need, whether that's a search engine or social media. This is big marketing at play, right? It's not just SEO, it's not just social or email, it's all of it.
If somebody were to zoom past this episode and get to the end and only remember one thing out of this whole episode, what one thing would you like them to remember?
Probably update your title tag, your H1 heading, and some of the written content on your homepage to include a primary keyword. Maybe that's a root term with your local identifier, right? Maybe it's pet supplies in Tampa Bay. Maybe it's dog groomer Tampa Bay. Maybe it's dog walker Atlanta, Georgia. Some of these are going to be challenging to rank for, but if you haven't done that already, then you're not signaling to Google what your website is about and what kind of people you want Google to send to your website. So it's really just about telling Google, hey, this is the kind of content that's on our website. I want people that are interested in this kind of content to come.
Anyone who wants to find you online can find you at petenginemarketing.com, and your social media is at petenginemarketing. Is that correct?
You nailed it.
Right. Now, everybody who is listening, if you would like to dive deeper into how to go about optimizing your homepage, Matt has actually done a masterclass for my students inside for Social Insiders Club. And those who have the open enrollment pass for all of my courses also get access to that masterclass. If you go over to firstsocialacademy.com, you can get access to that masterclass. Even if you just join for this month to watch that, is worth the $97 to join, because you are getting a step-by-step guide and a checklist, and he's going to walk you through exactly how to optimize your homepage, which, as we've said today, if you only do one thing on your website or across your social media or online presence to optimize for your search engine optimization, that needs to be your homepage. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next episode.
What was your favorite thing about this episode? Hit me up on Instagram at Skarlet Rockwood to tell me about it or ask any questions that you have about marketing your own pet business. If you know other pet professionals who would love this podcast, go ahead and screenshot this episode and share it to your Instagram stories. Be sure to tag me when you do, because seeing who's listening and hearing your feedback is 100% what motivates me to keep doing what I do. You can also join the Facebook group to connect with other pet industry professionals like you. If you'd like to follow up on any of the resources or links mentioned in this episode, you can find them in the show notes. Don't forget to be awesome, and I'll see you in the next episode.